Welcome back, Budget Bakers. I have a treat for us today. Today, we are going to be making our own vanilla extract. Now, the reason I'm doing it during the summer, as you can see, it's warm outside, is because it has to sit for a time before it can be used. And I would like to make a larger batch today and have it ready in time for the holidays this year, because I'm in search of little bottles. This way I can give a treat for Christmas to my family and friends. I can give them homemade vanilla extract. So that's my goal, and that's why we're here today during the summer making vanilla. Okay, so let's go through the recipe. It's super easy to make. I've never made it before, but I've been doing some research, so I have some tidbits and tips and facts and all the good stuff to share with you today. So after we're done making the vanilla extract, stay tuned because I'm going to have a question and answer session at the end to answer some questions you may have about the recipe. Okay? So first of all, let me start by saying that initially when you purchase ingredients for this recipe, it's not particularly inexpensive. However, the amount of vanilla that we make will, in the long run, save us money because we won't have to buy it every few months when we need it. We'll have it in the pantry and we can just use it as needed. Okay, so what I'm doing today is I'm actually using spiced rum. Now, I had this already. I don't remember, to be honest with you, how much I paid for it, but knowing me, it wasn't anything obsessive. So, this is what I've got. I would say I probably paid $15 or less for the bottle, and I'm not using a whole bottle. Now you can, but today I'm not. And then I ordered some vanilla beans. I have here organic vanilla beans. They're Madagascar. There's 26 in this pack. And I ordered this from Amazon. And I want to say I paid around $10 for the vanilla beans, give or take. So all in all, let's say I paid $15 for that and $10 for this. We've got $25. You can give as gifts or use as you need it. Okay, so let's get started. Like I said, it's not super difficult. So what I did was I sterilized my jar. And I did that by running it through the dishwasher, super hot cycle. You can also do that by washing it with soapy water and soap and warm water, and then pouring boiling water into it after you do that. So because I like to err on the side of caution, I did all three. So my jar is actually still warm and ready to go. So what we're going to do is we are going to measure our vanilla beans. We want 1 ounce of vanilla beans per 1 cup of alcohol. So like I said, stay tuned because at the end, I'll give you some other alcohol options that you can use as well. I've been doing some research and a lot of people say a lot of different things as far as the vanilla bean to alcohol ratio to make your own vanilla extract. But this is what I'm going with, okay? So I'm going with 1 ounce of vanilla beans per 1 cup of alcohol. And I am actually going to weigh my vanilla beans. I want to make sure I'm accurate. So I've got my scale here. So I'm going to actually measure the beans, okay? So let me turn it on. And I have a piece of parchment paper wrapped around it, but it's not even acknowledging that it's there, so I don't have to zero it out. So let's see here. Let's see how much 1 ounce of vanilla beans is going to be. All right. So that was 14 beans. Now, this is going to vary depending on the size of your beans, okay? So these were on the smaller side of beans. So I just measured 1 ounce. Like I said, it was 14 beans. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave some of the beans whole, and I am going to cut some of the beans, okay? So let's take about half of these beans. Now, if you leave them whole, you can continue to reuse the beans. So let's say, for example, I left them all whole, put them in the jar, and then poured my alcohol in. Then after 3 to 6 months, I decide, you know, I'm almost out of vanilla extract and I want to make some more. I can use the same beans and just add more alcohol. Okay, so I will go over at the end the reason that you can cut or leave whole, but I'm going to be doing about half and half. So I'm going to slice them. And then I'm going to take my knife and run it down the center to open it up. Okay, so I am actually going to go through and do all of these that way. Okay, friends, so as I was slicing, I decided to leave some just cut in half, and then I went ahead and opened up about 3/4 of what I had pulled out, and then I've also got some I'm going to leave whole, okay? So this cup right here should hold 2 cups of alcohol. So let's go ahead and pour in 1 cup. It does smell nice. I'm actually going to just pour this right over the sink in case it spills out a little bit. And it did. Okay, so that's 1 cup. So I am going to go ahead and put my vanilla beans that I've sliced down the center in there. And then the others that I have not, I'm going to go ahead and put those in. And then I'm going to add 1 more cup. Woohoo! I just made it! Yay, that was perfect. I love when that happens. And I'm going to go ahead and measure out another ounce of beans. Nice. That one was just shy of 1 ounce. So for those, like I said, we're going to use 1 ounce of beans per 1 cup. So I'm using 2 cups, which means I need 2 ounces of beans. I wanted to make sure that I was going to have what I needed. All right, so here I go again, cutting these down the center. All right. Cut those down the center, and now I'm going to add my 2nd cup of spiced rum. Almost. Wow, that was perfect. It was meant to be, friends. It was meant to be. All right, so I have got approximately 2 ounces. That second portion of beans was just shy of 1 ounce, but it's okay. I'm okay with that. And 2 cups of alcohol. And I've got a couple of the beans just sticking up there. So let's see if I can just, yeah, I can do this. It's not like they're stronger than me. And there we have it. So most people use a dark jar when they're making their vanilla. This way the light doesn't enter in. However, we are going to store this in a cool, dark place, which is going to be the back of my pantry. And let me just make sure that it's on there good. I think so. Wait a minute. I don't know. Let me redo that. Let me redo that just to make sure it's on there good. I don't know if maybe like I had some that had spilled out before or as I was putting the lid on, and I just don't want to take any chances. I don't want any air in there. So anyway, cool, dark place, shake it once a week, and there you have it. Let's see. Yeah, nothing's coming out. All right, so like I said, Stay tuned because I am going to answer probably most of your questions. Welcome back for Q&A. All right, so the first question that I'm going to address today about our homemade vanilla extract is, why did I slice some vanilla beans and then leave other vanilla beans whole? Okay, so I know this is a great debate amongst people who make their own vanilla. And like I said, this was the first time that I've actually made my own vanilla extract. So after doing some research, I decided to do both because slicing exposes the seeds and the pod to the alcohol, which speeds up the extraction process, giving it a deeper flavor, okay? But leaving the beans whole helps preserve the beans for a longer infusion. So I said, I'm going to go with the best of both worlds, and I'm going to do both. Now, as I mentioned, as I was making the vanilla, if you leave the beans whole and use the vanilla extract as you need it from this jar, maybe, pouring it into another jar a little at a time, when you get down to about a fourth of this jar, if the beans are whole, you could go ahead and add more alcohol and put it back to melt, I guess is the best word here. Extract back in the pantry for another, however long that you can stand to leave it in there, and reuse the beans maybe 2, possibly 3 times, which would save you even more money. Okay, so question number 2, how long should I let the extract sit before using it? Okay, so I'm going to back up a little bit and I will get to the answer to that question. So first of all, we want to allow this to sit in a cool, dark place, okay? Which like I said, I'm going to use my pantry. I'm going to put it in the back of my pantry. I am going to set a reminder on my cell phone to shake it gently once a week. So for me, I know I'm usually home in the house, mostly on Sundays. So I'm going to set my alarm on Sundays to give it a little gentle shake. Once a week, okay? So some say that they allow theirs to sit for 6 to 8 weeks and it's ready to use. I say let's do 3 to 6 months, pushing toward the 6 months. This way it has a richer flavor, okay? You can also double up on your vanilla beans if you want to. So rather than 1 ounce per 1 cup of alcohol, you can use 2 ounces of vanilla per 1 cup of alcohol. Now, mind you, that's going to be a bit more expensive, but it will double up, so to say, on the vanilla flavor. Okay? All right, number 3. Can I use a different alcohol? Deanna, you use spiced rum. Do I need to use spiced rum? No, you do not need to use spiced rum. You can use a different type of alcohol. So you can use vodka, which gives it a neutral base when it comes to flavor. You can use bourbon or brandy, which gives a warmth, depth to the vanilla extract. Or like me, you can use spiced rum, which enhances the sweetness and gives it a bold flavor. That sounds more like me. Sweet yet bold. So that's why I went with the spiced rum. And really, to be honest with you, it's because it sounded good to me. That's why I chose it. All right, how will you know when the vanilla is ready? So it will get darker. Now, yes, this is pretty dark, but it will get darker and it will develop a strong aroma. So like I said, some say 6 to 8 weeks. If that's all the time you got, go for it. Use it 6 to 8 weeks. I'm leaning more toward the 3 to 6 month mark, probably more toward the 6 month mark. That's why here we are in June, and I'm making it now so that I have it to give for Christmas to family and friends. Plus, I do a ton of baking in the fall, starting with around, Halloween, and then we've got Thanksgiving and then Christmas. I do a ton of baking, so I want to make sure that mine is ready for baking season. All right, thank you guys so much for being here with me today. Again, this was a simple recipe that can definitely save you money. There are more upfront costs to getting started with making your vanilla extract, but in the long run, as I said at the beginning, it will save you money. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe to my channel. It's a free way that you can support your favorite creators, and like my videos. We'll see you soon, friends, with more budget baking.